Welcome back to another episode of the Game Yappers podcast. This is episode 3. Today is August 29th, 2025, and I am here once again with my co-host.
Yo, I am tired, but hey, we want to yap about games.
Oh, there's always games to talk about, and I've been certainly in the mood to try something different because, well, the heavy grasp of deadlock continues to permeate over my mind. We do have a bit more of a straightforward topic to talk about today.
Yep.
And that is going to be roguelikes, not just on the greater indie sphere, but its continuous development in the world of AAA. And I wanted to start off with just a quick game that I've been playing. It's an early access game that came out, I believe, it came out earlier this year in about March, called Nine Kings. This is a game from developer Sad Socket, a collective team of two dudes, one from Sao Paulo and one from New York, that have been developing this game for about 2 years in early access. And it's a pretty interesting isometric roguelike card builder where you have to create these kingdoms that go to war with other kingdoms and kind of build your world up from there. And it has been some nice, simple fun to play in the background while I listening to some tutorials online. And I had me in the mood to just realize that this year I've played an enormous amount of indie games. Before Nine Kings, it was Blue Prince and Risk of Rain 2, Wild Frost, Mullet Mad Jack, Balatro, some Vampire Survivors. It was a heavy, heavy list of games, all that kind of branch from this rogue like and rogue light definition. And I wanted to flip it towards you, Mike, because how many roguelikes have you been playing as of recent?
As of recent, well, the one you mentioned, Blueprints, I have played that a lot. Probably for maybe like 2 months straight.
I'm with you there.
With like the full release when it came out. Um, and Risk of Rain 2. Now I've played the original Risk of Rain 1, and that is before they this is before they had like proper Steam multiplayer for games in a way.
Yeah.
Like I had to use like a third party software to actually play like multiplayer with friends with Risk of Rain Run. But when they announced Risk of Rain 2 years later, I was very excited for it because I'm here like, oh wow, this is a very much different style, or in the essence it's still the same Risk of Rain, but it's in the 3D space versus like 2D sprite space. And I still have been playing it because one, the modding community is huge for the game.
For the original
And
Risk of Rain?
not the original Risk of Rain 2.
Really?
Yeah. Risk of Rain 2 has a lot of mods going on. It spans from custom characters that people have made for the game with their own abilities and whatnot to different sort of like overhauls for the game itself, and it's pretty cool. Like this is the similar realm, because since we're talking about roguelike, and I want to talk about one big giant, is Binding of Isaac.
Yes. That is a cornerstone of the modern roguelike genre.
Mm-hmm. I've never played too much Binding of Isaac, but I know the impact of it. Hell, it even had like, God, I cannot recount how many versions of this game has. Like I think it's like DLC mostly, but it's like it's always like some different version that I hear of. There's like spanning from Binding of Isaac Afterbirth to Binding of Isaac Rebirth to Binding of Isaac Repentance, and it's like what the hell? it it's again Binding of Isaac is huge, and again an emphasis on modding community where it just keeps on being like, you know, its lifespan just keeps on, you know, increasing as time goes. So
I knew a lot about the Binding of Isaac modding scene, but I'm actually surprised I hadn't really dug my heels into the Risk of Rain 2 modding scene.
oh, risk okay. So one of the big things about Risk of Rain 2 modding, and this is they it started out. This is probably what I believe to be like one of the bigger modding communities, because it started out a web page of just Risk of Rain 2 mods. Then they became its own like little client for other uh I would say Unity games, indie games for modding potential. Big example, Lethal Company is on that list.
Oh, yes.
So, mhm,
And I'd even go so roguelike elements in Lethal Company as well.
mhm.
But more on that later.
Yeah, more on that later. Um, so, uh, so we talked about like what was it, nine kingdom or what
Nine Kings, yes.
nine kings, and
Mm,
then we talk about blueprints. Those are like the basically this year's big, or at least blueprints is like this year's big roguelite. You
I
know?
kid you not, I've put in way too much time in the blueprints, and I am itching kind of the return back. And I preface this much on blueprints. When I started out, I was just lost. I didn't know what was going on, and indeed, I did cheat. This is certainly a puzzle game with an emphasis very clearly at the front of the game that says you are going to have to get a pen and paper for some puzzles.
Yeah, like there's so much detail in this game where it connects to a puzzle or or a roadblock that you will they it's basically one of those things where they give you uh the key or a clue to some things, but you don't know what it's for. And then there's also cases where there's this roadblock or a locked puzzle that you just don't know how to solve, but the clues is out there somewhere. This is honestly, this is like one of those big games where the unique premise of just building your own, the building like your own like way towards the end versus like literally versus, you know, getting like all these random items and shit to just, you know, fight through something, you know, to a goal.
To a goal.
uh mhm.
I kid you not, I have been thinking about blueprints and itching to return back. I might just re-download it soon enough because wow, this game absolutely shocked me with not only how fun it is,
Mhm.
but how much it kept me hooked despite having a lot of aspects that I really thought weren't like that good. This is a very quiet game. There's not a lot of sound effects. There's
That's
hardly
true.
any music. I can only recount like literally about 3, 4 times where there are actual music tracks in this game. This is a predominantly silent game where the sound effects kind of take the role of the soundtrack. And it's also a
Mhm.
game that relies extremely heavily on very narrative storytelling. And I
Yes.
became shocked when towards like the end of the game there's actual voice acting that they were able to get. Where I'm like, I would have enjoyed the game, I think, a little bit more if they had that ability for you to listen in to audio tracks during or just like voice acted tracks for certain narrative moments. because when the
Yeah.
ending cutscene comes around, I was a bit shocked. I was not really paying attention to the story whatsoever. There were motifs.
Okay, so in my argument with that is that I don't think it really it wasn't like on the emphasis of a story or a narrative.
Yeah.
Obviously, just to clarify what blueprints, like the goal of blueprints is, you are willed a manor that has 45 rooms, and you are willed to find the 46th room of the manor, which is believed to be at the end of this kind of like roguelike dungeon puzzle house that you're building through. And honestly, the biggest thing here is that you're just trying to get to the goal.
Yeah.
There isn't you most of the story, quote unquote, or most of the things that like relates to the narrative, you might I think an average player might just like pass through though, because it really sometimes just doesn't help you with like to solve a puzzle in a way.
Yes.
Hmm.
There's so many instances where you're roaming around and a clue is clearly in plain sight, but you're not supposed to understand it until later on when you unlock a room that eventually leads you further.
Yeah.
All in the meantime, you're trying your best not to lock yourself into like a closet or a bedroom, but trying to find a specific hallway to continue this
Yeah.
string of room making. It's
Yes.
such a fun, clever world that the main gameplay I enjoyed the most was during the hours where I'm just trying to get to that 46th room. And I think
Yes.
it kind of
Have you ever made it to it
I
though?
did. I made it once and I'm honestly very interested to like go back in because I
Yeah.
had unlocked more like the post game, the basement, everything that had to
Hmm.
like do in that world. It
Yes.
interested me, but I think just the raw gameplay loop itself was just fun enough for me to keep going back. Again, some of the later stuff doesn't have the same hook as the
Hmm.
initial gameplay loop, but it's not gonna stop me. I'm gonna get 1,000 more gems to unlock 4 more rooms because in
Yeah.
this house we only go
Yeah.
green.
I'm gonna get that like little chemistry like experiment where it permanently increased my money every time I just step into multiple rooms.
Yes. And that
Like
is that fun because you get these tiny little rewards and you have to fight against genuinely crushing challenges like these red rooms that will absolutely choke your run.
and then it was also just fun kind of figuring out, oh wait, you can do this in order to negate some effects of red rooms, the rooms that just have like negative effects throughout your run. And that's like, oh wow, that's pretty cool because usually when that happens, it's usually like something where you get like a little buff at the beginning of a run or something. But no, it's like, oh, if you can find this thing, if you can find this room, you can disable something for another room or open something for another room. It's like, yeah, it's just like the possibilities is like huge.
Yes. I
Hmm.
enjoyed the simpler puzzles. I like the dartboard rooms. I enjoyed the parlor
Got me.
games that
The
honestly were just the one
PEMDAS
and
math.
three.
The PEMDAS math.
So much fun. So much fun.
Uh,
I think I'm just gonna reinstall this because I thought this game was like 30 gigs. No, it's only 5 gigs.
it is.
Dang.
It is a relatively small game, but at the same time, it has a lot to go on with.
Oh yeah, and I'm
Uh,
going to be cheating once again because I'm not figuring out every
I think
100th puzzle.
that is that is true. I had to cheat a few times to figure out some things. This is like though this is after I got to like the 46th room like multiple times. Because at that point I'm here like, I think at that point it's like just trying to like connect some stories together. Like why is there like this kind of overlooming mystery of some things that from about like some people's through these documents and stuff, or
Yes.
the whole thing with the basement is like, oh, why is this here and stuff, like that's something like, I guess, like that's like the end game of of blueprints, where you're just trying to connect the dots of the overarching narrative. So
Yeah. I think if I sat down and actually understood the story a little better of Blueprints, I'd enjoyed it more.
hmm
It's just sandwiched in between very fun gameplay loops that
yeah.
had me coming back day after day after day. I think for like an entire month this year. How many hours did I actually throw into this game? Because I was glued. I couldn't stop playing.
Yeah, I think I have like over 30 hours of it, but I know I have like over hundreds of runs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I put in like 50 hours. I had a friend put in like 90, and he said that he was trying to do everything the very traditional way of actually doing pen to paper and learning how to figure out each puzzle. If you
That
do that, you're gonna kind of burn yourself out really fast.
that and also the game also has challenge runs that
That
you
is
can
true.
unlock. hmm
That is
There is
true.
I think there's one called Dare mode that I'm quite curious to try out. I just need to unlock it first.
Yeah, this is certainly a game that caters as well to the very hardcore completionist because
hmm
there are some achievements in this game I am never going to get. I am
Yeah.
certain of that. I put in. Oh yeah. Oh, I was only 30 hours. And I only got one achievement. Oh, make it three.
Fair enough.
Sounds like I gotta play some
Um,
more.
yeah. So, okay, so any last remarks on blueprints though? Because I kind of want to move on to a quite similar roguelike
What you want to
in
talk about?
a big giant, another big giant, from a certain super giant, if you know
Hades.
what. Yep,
Yes.
Hades. This one, honestly, this one is where I was like, I was kind of skeptical at first with because I played so many action roguelikes in a way,
Yeah.
or roguelikes, that I'm here like, okay, this is pretty cool. The style is awesome, but what reels me in was the story and how it continues for every time you run the game, every time you do a run in the game, and
Absolutely.
that is honestly, this is on a cornerstone of roguelikes. So
Hades 2, Hades 1 is an immense achievement, not only for Supergiant games, but for the genre as well. Because I think the
yeah,
biggest surprise was just the volume and the depth of each character. Like, this is a game that knows you're going to die so many times, and every time I died, I'd return back, and there'd be a new voice line from a character being like, "Well, you tried again, and again, and again, and again, and you're
yeah,
going to find it that there's going to still be even like 50 hours in new voice lines." And I think that's what really allowed me to have the most amount of fun was knowing that
yeah.
there was just that much more
hmm
in the game. And I was only
yeah.
able, I think I only got to the surface no more than like three times before calling it. And I assure you, it is very satisfying. Not only
Yeah.
to slowly creep up in power, but just get better with every skill set.
hmm Um, I think one of the other big things with this, because it's also like, because you're trying to get to the surface, you're trying to escape the realm of Hades. So, but I think another big thing that also keeps added to the replayability value is that there's also little like side quests that you can
Yes,
do. So,
characters are interesting, quippy. Voice
mhm,
direction is very good. This is one of the best voice casts in a game, especially on this
yeah,
scale, where
yeah,
everyone is having fun, even characters that are no different to like just the most evil of people. Because at
yeah,
the end of the day, even the big man himself, Hades, although being the biggest of the bads, I never like hated.
Yeah, because in essence, um, because you're playing as his son Zagreus, trying to get to the surface. In essence, he's just doing his job like every other like
Like,
character in this realm. Especially like for like example, the first big boss in the first layer that you go through, like they're like, yeah, I'm just doing my job, man. Okay.
yeah. Oh, the Furies, I believe.
Yeah, the Furies. Yeah, this
Yes, and
like
that's even the most interesting. You come back with the gameplay knowledge that you have, and then the game will flip on its side again and again. It's not
yeah,
just going to be the same boss. It's going to
yeah,
be
because
it's going to be the boss pattern completely different. The three Furies are like the prime example of incredible boss design, where for like
mhm.
the first 15 times you meet the first the first boss, you're going to be like, okay, I think I know the patterns. And then the second Fury comes in, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it's like a different character with a
Different
different like
personality.
different personality and then different move set, and it's like, oh, okay.
Like the first Fury, Zagreus is flirtative. He's like, yeah, I know. We've had this little fling going on. Call me back. And then the second Fury is absolute anger, rage, just
Yeah.
brimming with fire, and you're like, oh,
And then there's a third one that is like murder.
murder, murder, murder. She
Murder.
wrote, and murder she is.
Yeah.
I'm
Murder she.
very excited for Hades 2. I
Yeah.
have yet to play Hades 2 just because I want the full experience.
Hmm.
And I understand why they have this early access, not only just to balance things out for the launch, but just to make sure that everything is smooth.
Hmm.
And for most likely Supergiant themselves, they have that continuous flow of income per update.
Yes.
I really enjoyed how much the first Hades was able not only to create an evocative, really well designed world with great characters, great character designs, great music. There's
Yes.
no
Fantastic music.
fantastic music that is certainly going to harp into the sequel. Have you had a chance to play Hades 2?
I played the demo, but I after that, like I did not want to see any more because I wanted to also wait for like the full release of the game.
I'm excited for the full release. I don't think they're going to take another year. There might be more information at the Game Awards later this year. I
Yeah.
think that's because the Game Awards 2023 was when Hades 2 is announced, and then it
Hmm.
went into early access last year.
Yes.
Really excited to see how everything is shaping up. And I'm also excited for a few other games that are just kind of like still within the development world. Because I don't think there's
Mhm.
like that many in the roguelike genre that are inbound that I'm like
Mhm.
hyped for. I could even pop up the old Steam wish list. Most of the games on the Steam wish list have no release date, and that is saddening.
Yeah,
But
or it's like, it's like it's on the early access train.
it is on the early access train. One game,
Hmm.
actually,
Yep.
speaking of the whole development world of roguelike, roguelites, and all that matters. Before we started this, we just mentioned a quick realization about how AAA studios have also kind of approached this world of roguelikes in nature. And I
Mhm.
think nothing really sums it up more than the extraction shooter, where you have an immense stress that you need to collect as much stuff to get more progress over time. But you're also having to fight the stress of permadeath, where if you die, you lose everything. And
Yes.
there's nothing more crushing then dying, and yet nothing more satisfying than leaving with an immense bag of stuff, of goods, and winning it all. The biggest game
Yes.
in this genre that really took off was Tarkov.
Hmm. Man, Tarkov. Oh man, I think this like correct me if I'm wrong. It's the first kind of in its genre of or of the extraction shooter,
I
right?
couldn't tell you if it was the first, but I could tell you it's the most dominant for years. Like
Yeah, because
no
like
other game could even like touch Tarkov's success.
yeah, because like Tarkov was like the first time I heard that it's almost like a battle royale, but you're leaving the area with like the loot that you have. So or
You're
you're like
slowly getting stronger. You will quite literally start with like a bolt action rifle, no armor, and are expected to die, and are given
yeah,
like
and
menial quests to go find a locket and a truck, to go find medical supplies. And when you complete these shallow, short tasks, you slowly accumulate a stash, and then you start to get better weapons, from bolt action
yes,
to fully automatic, from simple helmets to top of the line military gear. And then you
yeah.
can start to go in and fight bosses, all of which have unique designs and play styles.
Now, okay. Now I just remember because like it just hit me. I played this before. It like this is I think Division, if you know what that is. Division 1.
Yes,
The yeah, I think that is probably like the first extraction shooter.
I would say so. The Vision Dark Zone was kind of the weird experimental zone, because the Division 1 was a pretty linear, very,
Yeah.
honestly, a very by the books Ubisoft production, where it had a
Yeah.
very accurate scale design of New York. It had a really boring story where there aren't really stakes, but there are a lot of people you have to go kill.
Yeah.
But the Dark Zone always remained as this elusive world where you could get extraordinarily high tier gear if you go in, but at the cost that you're also fighting other squads that are fighting for it. And a
Yeah.
lot of the mistakes that the Dark Zone made, Tarkov kind of leapt forward and went in and tried its
Yeah.
hardest to mitigate those worlds, whether it be kind of not only limiting the amount of information you have, but also expanding on some of the more interesting details. Tarkov's weapon system is one of the most insane ever designed.
Hmm.
You can turn submachine guns into sniper rifles and just go absolutely bonkers with your design.
Crazy. It's
Comparative
insane.
to the Division, where it was fairly standard attachment systems.
Hmm.
And I think AAA has been trying its hardest to capitalize off the success. Call of Duty has implemented similar modes, none of which had any of the depth of Tarkov or any of like the real stakes of Tarkov. Everything was again a lot simpler, a lot cleaner. Even contemporaries in the AA space, I believe. Oh, I'm gonna have to fish this up real quick. The Hunt Showdown.
Oh, that game. Really? That's an extraction shooter?
That is an extraction shooter taking
I
place
thought
in
it
a
was like
swampy
this. I
bayou.
thought it was just like cowboys, like PvP.
It is kinda, but no, it is an extraction. Even some of the other AAA games mentioned earlier, Sony pushed a few AAA add-ons to their existing games as DLC. The Last of Us Part 2 had a roguelike mode. Same with God of War Ragnarok had a story-based roguelike
Mhm.
mode.
Yeah.
I even think the original God of War had a roguelike mode as well. I did play the original God of War roguelike mode. It, I think, was far more a game experiment utilizing the assets of God of War
Hmm.
than a proper like sit down and try your hardest. because there are certainly some areas that needed heavy improvement because there were some platforming parts that didn't make any sense, and everything's just enveloped in a weird fog, kind of emulating the Binding of Isaac. You don't know exactly what's in the next room, but you can probably assume it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
This year, also in the AAA space, two games are kind of duking it out for the next AAA extraction shooter. Those
Mhm.
two being Embark Studios' Arc Raiders and
Oh,
Bungie Studios' Marathon.
oh yeah. Oh man. I forgot Bungie's making that.
Yes, both of these games are trying to accomplish the same goal. These are shooter, PvE, PvP, extraction shooters. Arc Raiders as third person, and Marathon as first person. Arc Raiders kind of has a far more retro space theme, while Marathon has a glitchier, far more iconography, crazy
So
experimental look.
I'm gonna be real though with between these two games. So when I look at Arc Raiders, I'm here like, is this a new PUBG expansion? And then when I look at Marathon, I'm here like, what asset jungle did Bungie took out from their vault and put together?
Because Marathon does come from a trilogy of Doom clones from the 90s.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's Marathon was a trilogy designed by the original folks at Bungie that said, "Hey, Doom came out. Doom is big. Let's make a Doom clone." The first three games are all very strange. Their music is interesting, but their gameplay is pretty by the books, except for the first Marathon, I believe, has one of the worst designed puzzles in all of gaming history.
Mm.
Um, where you have to do a jumping puzzle without the ability of jumping. Um, that's necessary for progress,
Ha.
and
That's that sucks.
it sounds like Marathon 2020 whatever is still utilizing the same lore. There's going to be like aliens, there's going to be like these crazy rogue AI that are basically trying to surpass godhood in this world. It is crazy, crazy lore that is only worsened by the fact that two other non-marathon related Bungie games are still kind of related to, is
Uh,
all working on.
yeah, like Master Chief and John Destiny.
Or even scarier, the fact that it's going to be an extraction shooter.
Yeah, like that's such a big leap from what it originally was of being like a kind of copy of Doom shooters, back then.
Yeah. I think
Uh-huh.
Marathon has kind of survived in its very boomer audience has had a fondness, but translating it into a new direction is going to be a lot more difficult, especially since they're now having to fight certainly a uphill battle with some controversies that have kind of plagued a lot of its development.
Oh yeah. Again, this is why I mentioned like the asset vault.
Oh yeah, from
So,
plagiarism to very underwhelming
and
responses.
and I'm good. Let's all be real. When you look at it, it still looks like something that you would see in like I don't know, like a pre-alpha stage of a game, which is technically it is in a way, but still, like man, it just I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. Where it's like, is this actually like a full game? You know?
Yeah, I think I enjoy the art direction a lot more than the gameplay
Mm-hmm.
because I also think this is a game designed for like like 3-person squads to go in, and not like single player or even
Yeah,
like duos. It's designed for like a 3v3 environment.
which
It's
again, like big leap of
really
gameplay.
strange
Uh-huh.
comparative to Embark Studios. Embark Studios' first release came out last year as the finals.
Mm.
And this is the same core development team that had been working on the Battlefield series up until Battlefield 1. That all got up and left and said, I'm done with EA. I'm going to go make my own studio. And Embark Studios' second game, Arc Raiders, is slated for October 30th.
Yeah,
And there has been a lot more interest in Arc Raiders than Marathon.
because yeah, like if I'm looking at it, and honestly, like Arc Raiders have a bit more appeal than what Marathon has. Now, it could be just a slight bit of bias against Bungie, I would say, but at the same time, there's a bit. At the same time, like it seems like there's a bit more, like a lot more going on with Arc Raiders than what's going on with Marathon. So
Because Arc Raiders is going to kind of have the same blueprint as most extraction shooters, where you're going to go in, you're going to collect some stuff, you're going to fight some people, you're going to fight some robots, and kind of like run off. I haven't really been following in the nitty gritty details for a lot of Arc Raiders development. I tried getting into the closed beta, but I was not given a key. Dang. But with the game coming out so shortly, I'm very interested to see how everything slowly creeps out.
yeah, because like it just pops out here and there when I hear about it. So it's like, oh, okay, you know. So again, it had a bit. It does have more appeal than it does with Marathon. I would, to me, like this. Like I'm looking at the environments right now. It's like, oh, hey, it's like a desolated world, but with like these live machines roaming around. So
Yeah, I'm
mhm.
interested to see a little bit more coming around.
Yeah,
But everything kind of stems from that roguelike design. Everything kind of, there is no extraction shooter. I even mentioned earlier the battle royale genre doesn't really exist without that
yes.
roguelike element. And I think that's a very
For,
massive genre that it still continues to exist kind of under a monopoly. Kind of.
yeah, let's all be real. Fortnite wouldn't be Fortnite if battle royale mode wasn't a thing for it.
Yeah, where you're kind of continuously collecting items in a repeating loop.
Hmm.
Um, I would consider it far more rogue, like rogue-like than anything because you're going to permanently lose everything.
Yeah, that's just how the
Um,
battle royale genre is.
yeah, I don't think there's much that hasn't already been discussed to death outside of the fact that, again, a lot of that not comes from not a generatively designed world, but of just randomly thrown to around a loot where
Yes.
you could just land in a bathroom and get golden the most legendary weapon, or you could land with 100 other people and only get 2 bullets and
Hmm.
and a slurp juice.
Yeah.
And then
God.
you go back to the lobby and think to yourself, did I just spend $100 on the battle pass and die? Yeah.
Did I just spend millions of my Epic Game currency to get a cool skin that I'm going to use once in a lifetime?
Yeah. Again, there hasn't really been much that I would harp on for the battle royale genre that hasn't already been spliced
Yeah.
up. Same
It
kind of goes
exists.
for other extraction shooters, even ones in development like the Forever Winter, which again I continue to see update videos for, but I haven't really been following in its actual like gameplay.
Uh Sorry, you cut out there for me. What did you say?
No, I'm saying the Forever Winter being another extraction
Oh,
shooter.
oh my God. Okay. So I do have the game. I do have the game. I played it for maybe like a few hours, but I realized the one thing that bogged it down, and it's like a similar criticism that happens, and that is kind of reasons of being forced to play in a way because they have a real time sort of lifetime system where you have your home base, but it is like on a timer, like a real life timer, and what you need to do is go on a mission and collect more resources for it to increase. However, if you let that timer go down to zero, everything you have is going to be reset to zero. So the next time you play, you just start from scratch all over again.
I don't know. I don't know.
hmm Yeah, so like I'm not sure if they changed it, but I will say I respect that this is from a team that wants a big change from AAA. This is like from people that has worked in AAA game studios, and they either got laid off or left because they didn't really like the state of the industry at the moment. And honestly, that's a good movement. However, this is again, this is kind of like with the mixed reviews and stuff with this game, especially since the beginning. It was like I think it was overwhelmingly negative or mostly negative on Steam. So it's kind of like, man, what happened? Like, if you really do want a change, especially for like maybe the gamers, uh, why was this game so bad at the beginning?
I'm back.
I think Discord went scuff for a moment.
Yeah, you
So
disconnected. Welcome back.
okay,
Oh,
we'll cut that out.
yeah, I'm cutting that out. I'm gonna do the classic
Well,
hand clap where it's like, and we're back from
yeah.
technical difficulties.
Uh, okay, but like, where did I left off with like the forum for winter rant?
You were mainly discussing its changing, its development team having the very least a push to change from the status quo
Mm-hmm.
of mini shooters,
Okay.
but it's
Yeah.
still kind of falling into a lot of pitfalls. Even right
Yeah.
now, we can have a full conversation another
Yeah.
day about the review system for online gaming.
Yeah.
But
But
on the
like,
Steam listing right now, it's sitting at a really poor mixed.
yeah, it's like kind of trickling still. It's like I don't again, like I really did just stopped after like a few hours of playing it because it just didn't feel right after finding out that my progress so far will be reset if I don't continue to play. Which is
Yeah,
like,
it that is really like a difficult design decision to kind of back.
mhm,
Uh, I will say this: we can have a full conversation another day, but
about it.
it's
Yeah.
Steam continues to have this monopoly on the online gaming sphere for PC,
hmm
just because it not only has all of the best tools available for any online PC platform, but its
Yeah.
review system still continues to get better. The Forever Winter not only shows its most recent reviews in the past month for the game,
Uh-huh.
but it also has a breakdown for every single language that people are reviewing in.
Yes.
Russians continuously do not like the game, while the Chinese hate it even more. But the French and the Germans are having a little more better of a time than most English reviews.
hmm
And we can have a full discussion on not only Valve's continuation to enjoy the monopoly of Steam, but how other game platforms like Amazon to Epic Games have continued to try to Goliath their way into being the top PC game distributor and still getting taken out by the humble little Valve development game studio only in Seattle. But to
Yeah.
wrap things up, without the roguelike genre, we don't have an immense amount of games, but it does tend to bloat the current gaming sphere, especially in the indie scene,
Hmm.
because it continues to have enormous success around so many different genres. I'm interested to see how the gaming sphere continues to evolve with a lot of these really promising titles. And I'm here to also say, give Nine Kings a shot, give Blueprints certainly a shot, and same goes for Risk of Rain if you already haven't purchased it for like $8 on Steam.
Oh yeah, like Risk of Rain always kind of like goes to eat hell. Uh, you can get Risk of Rain one. Well, actually no, get Risk of Rain Reborn, which is basically a revamped version of Risk of Rain one. So, which is like a better version of it. So
Yeah, and I think there was a sale just like a day or two ago because they're showing off the new expansion for Risk of Rain 2 at PAX West.
yes. Hmm.
Or Risk of Rain Returns is now only about 25% off.
Yeah,
When the new
good
expansion
deals.
is coming soon, Alloyed Collective.
Yes, the Alloyed Collective. This is after two other expansions they have released. So
Yes. Even Nine Kings right now is 50% off for $10.
yeah. Oh man, wait. Have have we not talked about Balatro yet?
Oh, don't worry. We can talk
But
about Balatro in full, but I think I kind of wanted to steer away from Balatro just because it is the kind of face of roguelikes right now.
yeah, the thing, the the almost game of the year game.
The only Western game to be nominated for Game of the Year 2024 was
Almost like
Balatro.
it was like literally uh besides the double A success of Baldur's Gate 2 years ago, this was almost like a big indie game being game of the year.
An enormous indie game, especially
Mm.
for literal one-person development team that was Balatro.
Yeah, it's definitely not developed by a guy named Chuckles or whatever the
No.
the clown's name is, the jester's name is.
Jimbo.
Jimbo. Yeah, Jimbo. But yeah, yeah, another time we can talk about Balatro and
Oh,
its
don't worry.
huge success.
Yeah, because I
Jesus.
mean, I don't mean to kind of beat the horse, but I feel like everybody's kind of talked about the success of Balatro, and I wanted to, at the very least, shout out a few more games that I think deserve just as much praise as Balatro.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is one thing I will kind of take away from Balatro is that it is simple. There's not a story. There's very few game like or musical tracks. Even in the
Mm-hmm.
collaborative sense, everything is very minimalist. There isn't even like DLC or content stores about. Balatro is just that one purchase and you have it.
Yep, and you can get it on your phone as a purchase as
You can get it
well,
on your
which is
phone, you get it on Steam, you get it on your Steam Deck, you can get it on your Switch, your
mm-hmm.
Xbox, your PlayStation. It's everywhere. And I
Yep.
assure you, the developer of Balatro is kind of having difficulty, developing the game right now because he's clouded by fat stacks of cash, which is the,
Yep.
the the nature of every indie developer. That you will eventually create that breakout indie. You can spend 2 years, like last time we were talking about Landfall, spending like 2, 3 years developing something like Haste, and then in a weekend afternoon you develop Peak, and it's like, oh, here's your 10 million
It
dollars.
yeah, it's just it takes one good game to to basically break the internet for like about a good period of time.
A good month. I think that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
a in and out for a lot of games, especially on like the
Yep.
mainstream.
Oh yeah.
But all I gotta say is Deadlock will return.
Yeah. Deadlock.
I love Deadlock. I can't stop thinking about Deadlock. That's all I want. And I get a new character today in about an hour. We stay winning.
I'll I'll just continue with just in my gotcha slap sphere. We'll have an episode about that.
Oh, a
Me,
hundred
I
percent.
there'll be an episode where I guide Evan to yo.
Only at the tail end do we have this much technical difficulty. What I'm trying to say is
Hmm.
I was taken aback earlier this year when I went to a few conventions and just saw the power that mobile games and in the gacha sphere have on the
Yeah.
greater gaming sphere, because it does tend to feel like, we play these games like Balatro, like Blueprints, even like bigger games like Expedition 33. Don't worry, they have
Hmm.
big followings, but dwarfed by the size of free to play gacha.
Oh yeah. Again, I will. I kind of wanted to do like an episode where I kind of basically explain my perspective on it and guide Evan to why it probably is popular and why it blows up. Besides, obvious gambling addiction.
It
So,
is a literal gambling world. It's kind of like the biggest head of the Hydra
yep.
is one filled with the eyes. Anime. We'll have a
It,
full
it
episode on that. The final remarks is we gotta say is that I might do an all-nighter next week to play some Hollow Knight Silk Song, only for me to be like, man, this game's more Hollow Knight. I knew I shouldn't have waited 7 years.
Sorry, I signed the petition like 10 million times, so I think it's gonna get delayed more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully. Team Cherry said it was not a $20 game, it was actually an $80 game. Give me the money.
Real.
Anything you'd like to
But
end
yeah.
off before we sign off?
You guys should, if you want a similar dungeon roguelike experience slash dungeon crawling experience, go cave diving or you yearn for the caves.
I do
So
yearn for the caves, but the caves smell of bat dung and crickets and large
I
blind
don't know.
spiders.
I don't know, man. That's just your first run, you know.
Yeah, yeah. If I get skill checked on my first run, was it really my fault?
Yeah, it's basically the developer's fault.
Yeah.
Whoever developed the Earth.
The devs of the cave stink.
The depths of the cave things. Anyways,
More game yappers to come. Until
yeah,
then, take care.
yeah. See ya.